are.
recording you. Okay, fuck. Yeah.
This
So,
show.
Andor episode 6, everyone. I know we're a little late to the party since episode 7 is technically out, but to be fair, we didn't want to watch the fucking show. Um, so this is the second, we'll call it phase of the show, where you had 2 episodes of setup, and now this is our second bombastic action episode, right? This is the heist.
Yep.
And would you say that this was more or less stupid than all the stuff that happened in
In episode 3, you cut out for a
yeah.
second.
Yeah, in episode 3. Like compared to the amount of stupid shit that happened in episode 3, was this better or worse from a like more or less the action makes sense kind of standpoint?
I almost want to break this down from like a moving parts standpoint. So how many moving parts were in episode 3? Like there was meeting Lucian.
I don't know if I want to go into that much depth because like that's gonna take too long. We got to keep this to like about 30
Okay.
minutes or less.
So
Like
I think this might be slightly better in the sense that it kept it moving a lot more. Instead of cuz remember episode 3 also still had flashbacks.
fair. I think pacing wise, other than all the weird cuts to the Aldani people, this was more focused. I guess we'll call it.
Yeah,
Um,
I was talking about
so
this earlier with that Aldani scene. I think I realized uh my the spot where I would have put it still would have remained the same, but this could have been a moment where it's like, oh, you see this, Clem? This is what we're fighting for, and it's showing like the culture, one of the cultures of the galaxy, something that the Empire that we've shown through previous scenes are trying to basically get rid of through assimilation.
mhm. So for anybody out there who is like a screenwriter or likes to write cool heist stuff, um this is like a showcase of what not to do. um those 2 episodes of setup that we mentioned, none of that included telling us what the actual plan of the heist was. And in case you haven't seen a heist movie before, the reason it's important for us to know the plan going in is so that we know how things are supposed to play out. That way, when we encounter a twist or a turn or something unexpected, we realize that's the plan not going according to plan. We don't get that
See, here's
in
here's
this show.
here's the thing, Ninja. Plan can't go wrong if you had no plan in the first place.
Their plan was fucking retarded, okay? Um, so they had the 2 girls scuba in to I'm assuming it's a dam, like a big wall. They climb up a ladder, they place a jammer, then they go back down to basically join the others at the entrance, and then they're going to take an elevator back up to get to the tower. So that's already a little
Correct.
convoluted. It's like, and the jammer's only somewhat useful because believe me, that's going to be relevant later on. We'll put a pin in that for now. Um, so the our guys are sneaking into the gates of the fortress or whatever you want to call it. Um, Number one, this is completely retarded because there is no way that the commandant or the colonel or any of those imperial officers would have allowed people from like another base to act as their personal escort.
Yeah, these kinds of high-ranking officials would have their own, almost their own security.
Yeah. Like I want my men that I know from this base to walk me out, to meet the Eldonis, and they're gonna walk me back. You wouldn't let the people. It's like, oh, these were the guys that just herd of Aldani people here to the gates. They're gonna escort you back inside. It's like, no, fuck off, get out of here.
You might want
But
to
anyway,
you might want to scoot your mic just a tiny bit. You're cutting out.
is this better?
Hi
No,
Denims.
I get it. I get it. So the point of the matter is that wouldn't that part of their plan wouldn't have worked. Okay. Then, as you so graciously brought up earlier, while they're standing right there, like within fucking earshot of all of the officials and shit, they're trying to use their radio to contact the other team.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, no, shut the fuck up.
Yeah,
That's a really dumb idea. You're gonna get caught.
yeah. They don't seem to understand the term radio silence.
Well, this is specifically why these kind of infiltration missions have other ways of signaling, or you can even use a radio to signal without talking. You can do like 2 or 3 clicks,
Yeah, mic checks.
mic checks, things like that to signal something to the other people. Because presumably the only person that's supposed to be listening is the other team. Like that's the
Mm-hmm.
only person that should be on this frequency. So you don't need to be like echo, 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 valley, valley, valley. It's like shut the fuck up. You're gonna alert anyone who overhears you.
Yeah,
And it's not like they're whispering or being super quiet. They're saying it fairly loudly.
yeah. They're going like Valley One, Echo, T-37.
Hut, hut, hike.
Fuck.
And it's like, bitch, that dude is like 10 feet from you. Shut up.
Not to
So,
mention when they're hanging out on that bridge before they do their ziplining thing, their fucking radio's on speaker.
oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's dumb as shit. And that, there was that shot of like Vel walking away after setting the jammer, and the amount of time that she was in like peripheral eyesight of that radio operator was insane.
I almost
That he
wondered
wouldn't have
why.
seen her.
I almost wonder why she didn't just take him out. To be perfectly honest, it
I
didn't look like
mean,
he was making
in
any other reports.
hindsight, yeah, in hindsight, that probably would have been better because he's the one that fucks it all up. But we'll get to that. So their plan again that they didn't reveal to us up front makes no sense, but somehow it works, and they all get inside. This is where things start to go wrong because everybody basically draws their guns, starts taking hostages. The colonel ends up stealing Nemec's blaster and like pointing it at his face. And so you have like this brief Mexican standoff where somebody's pointing a gun at a child, and then the colonel has his gun on Nemec. And it's like, oh, okay, this isn't gonna go well.
And then he just gets shot because
Yeah,
one of the people came in from off screen via a ladder.
yep. Vel and Sintra or whatever her name is come down the ladder and basically shoot him in the face. And I don't know, it's weird because like they try to walk this fine line of like nobody has to die as long as we win, like everybody gets to walk away from this. But it's like number one, you already killed a motherfucker, so you've already crossed that line. Number two, it's like, well, which fucking is it? Are you gonna kill everybody or are you gonna let everybody go? Because you're giving very mixed fucking signals here. But anyway, beside the point, let's not get quagmired in that because that could just, the resistance is kind of shit in this show. Um, so the plan proceeds. They make their way to the tower, which then they go from there basically to the vault.
Yeah, they go security, tower, vault.
Yeah. So everybody goes to the vault except for Cinta, who stays behind with the hostages. And it's like, okay, fair enough. Like you're gonna leave somebody with the hostages and the radio or whatever. That's fine. Um, where would you say the next big issue? I mean, it's pretty much right when they get to the vault, right? Like that's
So yeah, the vault is the next big issue because the second they get down there, it turns out there's some people playing cards.
Or something, some kind of Star Warsy game. They don't get real specific, but yeah, they're playing a game, and it's like easily like 8 or 10 guards, right, are just sitting there hanging out playing a game. And the way that it's shot and the way that it's edited, it makes it seem like these guys aren't supposed to be here. Like this is going to be a monkey wrench. Like, oh no, they weren't expecting this squad of guys to be here in the room. They were expecting them to be outside watching the eye.
Yeah, because not the corporal, the lieutenant guy, he basically went, "Oh yeah, everybody can go watch the eye."
Yeah. And so it's set up like these guys aren't supposed to be here and it's going to be a plan. However, as they basically open the door and just waltz right in, and the lieutenant starts barking orders and being like, "Hey, it's a surprise inspection." And then they immediately go from that to everybody put your hands on your head, this is a robbery. And it's like, okay. But then here comes the part that I'm a little confused on. So they basically threaten everybody. They're like, okay, you guys are going to help this money for like the next, I think he says like next 10 minutes,
Yeah.
or we're going to kill you. So basically, what they're trying to tell us is that their plan to steal all of this money was to use Imperial soldiers as labor. So if these guys weren't here, like if they had been out watching the eye with everyone else, what was their plan? What were they going to do?
Again, you
Because
can't.
we see how much of the money they get, and like you said, it's maybe, if we're being generous, a quarter of what they show in the vault.
Oh yeah, while they're moving all the stuff, I don't know if it's a weird continuity thing or if there genuinely was just that much. Uh, it looks like they don't even get a quarter of it because they show the vault in the background and it doesn't look like they move any of it actually.
So that's with the help. They're only able to move like a quarter of it, which they later tell us is equivalent to 80 million credits. Okay. Now, they use the commandant's hand to unlock the vault. And then he tells them, I can't unlock the cages or whatever it is that's holding the credits inside. Like he doesn't have access to that. But they just throw an explosive on the console and boom, and it opens up. Now, this is somewhat relevant because them blowing up this console is what alerts the airbase, which I'm assuming is, across the way somewhere. They're like, "Oh, we see a vault breach light." So this is what puts them on the clock of they have to get all this stuff out of there before the squadrons come in, before they got to
Before
get
TIE
out.
fighters get in, yeah.
Yeah. But here's the stupid part, right? So they trip the lights and it actually shows Cinta in the control room and she's changing into like an imperial uniform. And you hear the call come in and they're like, "Hey, we've got what's going on? Please respond." And instead of like responding and making up like a lie, like, "Oh, sorry, we're getting some electromagnetic interference from the eye. Please hold." Or "We're checking on it right now. We're having electrical issues." Like anything like that, she doesn't respond. And then she just starts like shutting shit off for the base, like the lights, the radio, all of it. In case you were wondering, that comes across as hella suspicious.
All of this comes across as hella suspicious.
Yeah. Not to mention, they're like talking about the heist and the vault and then breaking into shit over the fucking radio.
Yeah, and then we see comms guy, who I brought up earlier. He's just fiddling with shit because that's what you do when Your comms are out. You try to reestablish them. He hears this, adjusts the frequency, and he just hears all this shit, which immediately made me go, "What are you people doing?" Like,
Yeah.
that's probably like I was just watching and not necessarily enjoying myself. I was just being lightly entertained, almost in the same way I was entertained by Mando season 1. Not great writing, but at least something interesting to look at. Then that fucking happened, and I was just like, all right, nope, I'm not even entertained by this anymore.
So, needless to say, the Empire, you know, basically catches them in the act. Again, because we didn't know what the layout of the heist was or what the plan was, we don't even know how much time they were actually supposed to devote to this part of the plan. Like, we know he said next 10 minutes, but then when he asks the guy for like a time check, instead of saying an actual time, he says 5-9. I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? So,
Oh yeah, that actually, hold on. Yeah, that makes no
I
fucking
swear
sense.
to God, that's what Nemec said. He says
Yeah,
5-9, and I'm like,
yeah, and you
Okay,
could have just went 5 minutes. What the
yeah,
shit?
you. It was a really weird line, but anyway, it's like okay, so the Empire figures them out, and things quickly go to shit because we learn that despite training on this planet for supposedly like 6 months or a year or whatever it was, these people are fucking inept. Um, the lieutenant basically goes for a bluff persuade check while not in cover in the slightest. And he tries to kind of rely on the commandant to be like his extra, oomph. But the commandant basically has like a heart attack or a stroke or whatever and passes out.
Very convenient. We don't like
Yeah.
like it's they make a joke that he's gotten fat, but he's clearly not that fat to have a heart attack on the spot from like light exertion.
Yeah, it was really weird, but it was just like, oh, we need him out of the way. We're gonna have pass out. So he passes out, and then the lieutenant gets shot almost immediately, and presumably is dead. Like
He's
we don't
fucking
know
dead.
because they never pay attention to him again. Um, this causes obviously everyone to kind of scatter. Vel ends up taking cover behind some of the credits, and she gets pinned down. Terraman, I believe his name is, her
Mr.
right hand
Stormtrooper
man,
man.
Mr. Stormtrooper man, tries to go to her rescue. And he's like, cover me. And he runs out there to go get her. And Skeen does not cover him in the fucking slightest.
He
And he
covers him for like
instantly
a
gets,
second.
yeah, and then he gets fucking shot and presumably dies the end. Like, wow, that was great. Both of our black men are dead now. Um, very diverse and inclusive show. Um, so I guess that's the most we're gonna get foreshadowing wise for Skeen kind of being an asshole. Again, put a pin in that. That's gonna come up later. Um, but yeah, like just most of our party gets killed here.
uh,
Um,
uh,
there is a
Manifesto Man gets crushed by some fucking
well that
credits.
yeah he gets crushed by some credits, but that's only when they're taking off. So fucking Cassian's an idiot. There was a guy while they were loading the ship. There was one of the Imperial guards was like being a real dick to him, and I was really surprised he didn't shoot him in the face or make any sort of like, "Hey, knock it off, or I'll shoot you in the." Like he didn't even acknowledge it. But the guy was being like very obstinate, and that's the guy that manages to catch him when he's trying to prep the ship for takeoff and like get him in a chokehold. And so he's wrestling around with this guy in the cockpit. Nemec is in like the bay of the ship and manages to get a shot off on him and rescues Cassian. And of course, Skeen and Vel are the only ones still left alive. They get into the ship and close the doors. They make no effort to rescue Gorn or Terramin, by the way, whether they're alive or not. They make no attempt to recover their bodies. They just take off. And when this ship fucking takes off, it fucking takes off. And Nemec gets crushed by some credits.
Yeah, because this isn't just this isn't a simple takeoff. This is like they actually people go flying.
Yeah, which doesn't make a lot of sense, but okay. Um, so and again, this is like Nemec was clearly the only one that not the one that knew how to fly the ship, but the one that was like going to be the navigator, I guess. Because Cassian multiple times is like, "Hey, um, I need someone to give me numbers. I'm flying blind. Tell me where I'm going. What am I doing?" And the amount of times that they fucking ignore him or just tell him to wait, and it's like, I kind of can't.
Yeah, when
Like,
you're
do you know how fast we're going? Like, I need information. And there's a real simple fix to this, right? They needed a droid.
yes,
That would have fixed it. Like, if there was a droid with them to
almost
help
like a
navigate.
Imperial security droid that they could have hacked.
Yeah, maybe.
I,
With a
I
Canadian guy voicing him or something. I don't know.
that would that'd be ridiculous.
Yeah, that'd be
Because
ridiculous.
stupid ninja, you're relying on member berries. This show doesn't have that. Scarf,
Yes.
Jakku.
So so yeah, we get the takeoff. Nemec gets crushed, but yet still manages to survive long enough to give him the information he needs to fly.
After they Pulp Fictioned his ass, by the way.
Yeah, that was really uncomfortable. But so then we get this sort of artificial drama, right? It's like, so they get off the planet, and Skeen is like, I want to get Nemec to a doctor because he's the whole reason that we're here. And Vel is like, no, we need to, I don't want to jeopardize the mission. We need to deliver the payload. And this is not really talked about or debated in any kind of meaningful way.
Yeah, it just
Cassian just makes
happens.
the command decision of like, we're going to the doctor. So next thing you know, we're on some random fucking planet with a doctor. Dr. Quad Paw, by the way, because he's got 4 arms. Get it? Anyway. Um,
I think I would have preferred
so
if they fucking just went, if they just said screw it and Dexter Jetster was the one who was fucking performing the surgery. Fuck it.
what do you know?
A spinal cord!
So Vel and Nemec are with the doctor. Nemec is obviously being operated on, and I mean, as far as we could tell, things seem to be going good. Uh, Skeen and Cassian are just outside hanging out, I guess. And this is where we get a heel turn for Skeen, where he's just like, "Hey, uh, we should bounce and take the money and leave." And he's like, "What about your brother? What about the rebellion?" And he's like, "I never."
I didn't have a brother.
Yeah, it's like, "Oh, okay, so you're just a total piece of shit." But to be fair, I mean, he offers to split the loot with Cassian 50-50 because he's like, "I need you to fly the ship." So once again, we've established Cassian is the only one who can fly the ship. So before Skeen can finish his, persuasion check, Juan Solo shot first, and
Without
he kills
recording him
Skeen.
or doing anything to show
Yep.
that that Skeen was well a schemer. Get it?
Yeah. No.
Get it? Do you fucking get it, Ninja? Skeen, almost like he's scheming.
Well, no, it's Skeen with an N.
Close enough.
Skeen. I know, close enough. Anywho, yeah, you're right. He doesn't do anything to like incriminate Skeen in any meaningful way, but he just shoots him in the chest plate and kills him, and then goes into the little doctor's hut, like gun drawn, which of course freaks everyone out. And we see immediately that Nemec is dead. They're covering up with a sheet, and the doctor's like, hey, sorry, I tried, did everything I could. And Vel is clearly pissed because Cassian is pointing a gun at her. And he's like,
As you
hey,
will.
yeah, as you do. And he's like, hey, I'm going to take my money and I'm going to fuck off. Like, I'm done. Even though the job is not over. The money has not been delivered to the rebellion. This whole thing with the doctor, this was a fucking detour. Okay? This is not where these funds were intended to go.
Oddly enough, I thought the whole doctor thing was gonna be. I thought that was gonna be the. I thought we were done, and then that was gonna be
No.
the lead up into episode 7,
So
finding the doctor or something.
so Vel is basically like, you're a fucking asshole, where's Skeen? And he's like, oh, Skeen's dead, but he was gonna rob you anyway, so you know don't worry about it. And she's like, I'm very worried about it because I trust him more than I trust you, which barely gets any sort
Um,
of
almost like he should have brought evidence to show the
yeah.
Like, I get it. What
But
was he supposed to do? Like, pull
again,
out like, I almost pull the equivalent of I'd kidnap 1,000 children before I'd let this company die. I don't know what he was supposed to do, but clearly not just fucking shoot him.
yeah. So, but seemingly, even though she trusts Skeen more and she spent a lot more fucking time with him than Cassian, she very quickly seems to kind of get over the fact that he's dead and that Cassian's the one who did it. And he's like, I'm just gonna take what I'm owed, and I'm gonna leave you here with the rest of the money. I'm gonna leave you here with the trawler. Um, and here's the weird crystal thing. Like, give this back to your friend. Like, I'm out. So Cassian's done. But again, this is another one of those instances where they're trying to paint Cassian as like, oh, he's good. He's not stealing all the money. He's only taking what he was promised. It's like, yeah, that's good, but he's also basically fucking up the mission and basically ensuring that this shit doesn't make it to where it's supposed to go because she can't fly the trawler. That's already been established. So what is she supposed to do? She's basically stuck here with the doctor, and
Ho-
and it's implied that Cassian is taking the doctor's ship. So he's not going to
Hopefully,
have a way out of here either.
hopefully, Mr. Quad Paws over here has a cell phone.
Yeah, I guess. So yeah, it basically just shows that it's like, oh, the resistance members are shit and they're all gonna fucking eat each other, which they do. She gives him Nemec's manifesto because she's like, well, Nemec insisted on it, but I really feel like after everything Cassian has done and the way he's behaved, why would she do that? Like, I
Also, why would
understand it was Nemec's last wish and all that, but it's like he only knew Nemec for a couple days.
Yeah, I was gonna
She's
say, why would Cassian at the end of the day even give a shit?
Well, he actually says like, I don't want it, but then she just kind of is like, no, you're taking it anyway, and he's like, okay. It's like, why? You could just say no and leave. Like, you don't have to take it. But
Also, bold of Cassian as he takes the manifesto and then just turns his back and it's like, you're lucky Vel didn't just fucking shoot you.
yeah. Um. So there you go. That's kind of the end of the heist section, and then we cut to Mon Mothma
Which
in the
I knew it.
in the
I knew we were
Senate.
gonna get a
You,
Mon
you
Mothma
did,
scene.
you did call it. We got a Mon Mothma scene. She's trying to push for some kind of bill or whatever, and like everyone's being distracted because there's a big going on, and everybody's like checking the equivalent of their Facebook and their news apps and stuff, and it's like, oh my god, a base has been attacked by the rebellion. And we cut to fucking Skarsgård, and
Oh,
there's a guy in his shop who's like,
we did miss something. ISB people got called to an
oh
emergency
yeah,
thing, and that now the Empire's got their eyes. They're looking for people now, even though they should have been looking in the first place, because that's literally
yeah,
their
I
job.
really don't care because yeah, it's like, all that was fucking stupid. They should have already been on high alert anyway. So
In fact, I
um,
would suspect the ISB would always remain on high alert.
so we see Mon Mothma kind of reacting to it, and then we cut and see Skarsgård reacting to it. And Skarsgård's reaction, it comes off as really dumb because number one, it's like your heist made the fucking Imperial News Network, which generally isn't a great, you know, hallmark of a heist. And
Yeah,
he doesn't seem to be like concerned about his people or even the money because the money hasn't even actually been received by him yet. It hasn't reached its fucking destination.
yeah. If he
So the
checked his
fact
bank
that
account and it was just absolutely stacked, and
yeah,
then
that would be one thing, but it's like you're celebrating a bit prematurely, dude. Like, what was it, 4/6? Or like the majority of your fucking team is dead, and you don't actually have the money, and now the Empire is on full fucking alert. That is bad news, not good news. This was not like a big win for the rebellion.
I was thinking I would have been excited by this, but the more I think about it, I would have been worried by it. I thought that was Cop Man for a good second, because it doesn't show the person who alerts Lucian until like a good few seconds later. I thought that was Cop Man. That was just he was gonna be on the hot trail using Aldani, which would have been stupid because how the hell would that have been a connection? But no, it
Mm.
did just turn out to be a random guy.
Yeah, no, it's weird. Just random guy. Yeah, so I mean that's kind of where the episode ends. The heist was dumb. I didn't really care when any of these characters got killed off because we didn't get any time to build up and invest in them. Like if the first 5 episodes had all been set up for this heist and it had been us spending time with these characters, getting to know these characters, you know, really building those bonds, that would have been one thing.
That would have made Skeen's
But
betrayal a lot more
yeah,
impactful.
would have made everything a lot more meaningful. And it's like, no, we don't care about any of these things happening. Like the heist could have been the whole season. Like that could have been the season finale. You know what I mean? Like everything leading up to it could have been build up for the heist.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, no, we didn't get that.
And also, I'm thinking somebody's probably gonna point it out. The whole lack of covering Stormtrooper Man could like somebody's probably gonna say, "Oh, that's his evidence that he was right. He was just waiting for them to make stupid moves so he could take it all for himself." The scene does not show that. If anything, it shows that he's just a bit timid or cowardly.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like if they were supposed to forecast that as like, oh, he's a bad guy, there's a way you could have shot that differently. But they could have almost given him kind of like a Scar from the Lion King kind of moment where it's like, you know, he like let's say Terriman runs out there and gets shot, and he looks back to Skeen, and he's like, you know, help me, and Skeen like turns his back on him or something like that. That would have been a more direct. But the way that it's shot, it's just like he has a scared look on his face, and it's like, oh, he's just losing his cool under fire. Like that could happen to anyone. It doesn't really give you those evil vibes. So when he eventually does the heel turn with Cassian, it's kind of like, oh, okay, I guess, sure. I mean, we know as little about him as anyone else, so fine, I guess. But it's just we're not like super invested in him as a character, so it's hard to get invested in this big 180 in his character. It's like, oh yeah, I don't care.
Was it were Vel and other lady were they supposed to be in a relationship? Is that what that whole like them like oh good luck type scene that they were doing was that supposed to...
Maybe, but see, here's the thing. Like, I honestly feel like in a weird way, they actually could have gone further than that. Because when they're standing in the comm room and she's basically saying goodbye to her because she's like, "Tell me you'll be okay," and she's like, "I'll be fine." And there's sort of this moment where the camera lingers on Vel's face, and then she ends up like going out of frame, and you just kind of see Cinta. If they really wanted to communicate that, a better thing to do would have been to have Vel pop back into frame real quick and just give her like a kiss.
Yeah,
Like
it
if
would have
that if that's
been...
really what they were going for and this was really supposed to be like an emotional goodbye, that would have been more realistic
Yeah,
for that moment.
cliche is all shit, but I would have taken it.
Oh yeah, I'd have taken it. That would have made more sense. So in a way, this almost felt like that gay baiting thing that people complain about, where it's like you could read the scene as like she was saying goodbye to her partner, but it's just vague enough that if somebody didn't want it to be there, they could look past it and be like, "Oh no, she was just saying goodbye to another member of the party because she knew that Cinta wasn't going to be coming on the trawler with them." So the way that it's shot, the scene could go either way, depending on whether you are pro-gay or anti-gay, and it's like, honestly, I would have had a little bit more respect for them if they would have done the cliche thing and just had her give her, give her a kiss.
Give it a big old smooch.
Yeah, just give her a quick
I
hug and a kiss and be like goodbye. That would have been better.
I just realized this. So the Empire's got to see all of their faces now by this point, because you can't tell me for a second that there aren't security cameras.
Oh, granted, it was a fake name, but she was also using their names too.
Yes, I was thinking about this the whole time. Why are their faces not covered up? Why are they using their actual names? This is really weird. The Empire
Yeah, like
now
they're not
knows
using code
everyone.
names. Yeah, they're not using code names or anything.
And
Um,
and
at least even fucking Reservoir Dogs, was like Mr. Blue, Mr. Pink, Mr. Brown, something. Do something. Try.
yeah, they tried
Um,
to do something with the whole Clem thing, but as far as they were concerned, that was his actual name.
yeah, he's the only one that we knew of using a fake name. Everyone else is so. What? Yeah, but the heist was really dumb. Most of them died. There were a couple twists and turns with like sudden betrayals or things, but nothing that felt satisfying or rewarding. Things just sort of happened, and not because any particular events, like there was very little cause and effect. It was very annoying. Honestly, after episode 6, I'm still very much in the same camp of this is not a good show. I would not recommend this to anyone, Star Wars fan or otherwise. Like, this is just not
If you like storytelling,
entertaining.
fucking run.
Yeah. I mean, there's just, in a weird way, it's kind of bad to say, but like, at least with shows like She-Hulk and Rings of Power, they're so bad that there's like something to talk about there.
Yeah, like we could honestly go on for hours about how getting rid of the Sokovia Accords was just a absolute horrible thing to do world building wise.
Yeah, this is more of like just a fucking nothing burger. Like, if it sounds like a lot of the complaints that we have are just small gripes, it's like, well, that's all we've got because that's all the show's giving us. Like, otherwise, my number one complaint has remained the same since episode 1. It's boring and all of the characters are unlikable. That's still been the same
That's even
since
if
episode
they
1.
that's even if they survive. Remember Tim with two M's, he's dead.
Do we
Most
even
of the
care
heist
about Bix anymore? Like, do we even care about any of the people on that planet anymore?
we
Nope.
supposedly should, because eventually we're gonna get another flashback episode where we see clones just shooting people, and it's just like, why are we doing that?
I neither know nor care.
Yeah, I,
I think it's fairly safe to say at this point, um, we have given this, the old college try. We haven't gotten a significant amount of feedback one way or the other from the audience, but I think this is a fairly safe spot to tap out.
no,
Uh,
this is
this was supposed
supposedly
to be a 12 episode series. We have gotten officially to the halfway point, and I have zero characters that I am invested in, zero storylines that I am invested in. The show sucks. So I
my
think with this is going to be our final episode
my
of.
headcanon ending for this show is the ISB hires Boba Fett. He kills everybody, and then a guy who was a former stormtrooper named Kyle Katarn takes over the. No, I'm kidding. This show is shit. Don't watch it.
Yeah, this is not good Star Wars content. I don't even know if that's a thing anymore, honestly. But
It's literally only like 2.5 movies. It really is just turned into like I've accidentally become my parents. Like with our parents' generation, there's only like they would say like the prequels never exist.
yeah,
This is we've turned into them. There's literally only two good Star Wars movies and only half of Jedi.
pretty much. Yeah, this is really bad shit. Literally go watch like fucking anything else. I mean, this is just really, really terrible. Um,
Watch.
it doesn't feel like Star Wars. It doesn't even feel like even if you take the Star Wars aspect out of it, it's not even good storytelling. Like it's not good fiction. You know, it's not a good rebellion story. It's not good heist story. Like everything that's
If
happening
if
is
this didn't
lackluster as fuck.
if this didn't have Star Wars attached to it, and even hell with Star Wars being attached to this, seeing that big old vault, I immediately thought, why the fuck are credits physical money? This is a
You know, I was
galaxy.
gonna ask about that, but I was like, you know what? I don't.
To give
I
a
was gonna be like,
brief explanation, credit chips basically work like gift cards. They can have as many credits on there as you fucking want on a single chip. That's it. You do not need to physically have a boatload of cash. That makes no physical sense because in a galactic wide currency system, why would you still need that? We are
yeah,
like
digital would make a lot more sense.
we're just one singular planet right now in real life. And we use our phones to pay for shit. We use cards. When was the last time you used actual cash?
Yeah, it's really weird. Um, but yeah, you know, this was not good. And I wish that we could say that it was, but it's just not. And so, like I said, I'm pretty sure this is going to be our last episode of Andor coverage. I would much rather be covering something enjoyable, something that I, you know, give a shit about. And it's sad because like I think the only saving grace that this show has is that because they delayed the start of it, it'll still be going like now that She-Hulk and Rings of Power, I think House of the Dragon ended too, or is coming close to an ending. It'll still be going with new episodes for a little while longer, so maybe people will start paying attention. But compared to those other shows, I have heard very little in the way of coverage or reaction about this show. And I think that's kind of the gist of it is like compared to everything else that's like trending up or down, positive or negative, Andor is just fucking flatlining, and I can easily see why. But
Yeah, because from a layman's perspective, we said it once, we'll say it again. It's boring as shit.
yeah, it's really not good. Yeah, I think we're just kind of stuck in a loop at this point, but I think we will leave it there. Um, wish we had better news for you guys, but hopefully, you know, stay tuned. We'll bring you more content on something else, but Andor does not make the grade with Y.A.R.P.
Star Wars is dead. I,
and
I,
Disney's parading around its corpse.
I'm gonna go back to the U. I'm gonna go hang out with Yuuzhan Vong and Kyle Katarn and Jason Solo
Nope,
and
Kathleen Kennedy threw all that in the trash. It's gone.
Luke caring about his nephew.
No, no.
I'm gonna go back to what I enjoyed about Star Wars.
Sayonara, everybody.